Excuse me. Hey, everybody. Here we are again. I had a little technical trouble going on there. I hit go live and she didn't want to go live. So I hit the back arrow, waited and waited and waited. Finally reset. So I hit go live again and here we are. So, as you know, if you've been following, I'm putting all the sheriffs in Michigan in the people's court, sheriff and undersheriff. Two already been there. So they're not in this round. They've decided that they agree to charge of treason in open court of record. Now we're going to hope that we don't have that situation with all the sheriffs. Sheriff Mack, he's got 400 in his posse. And I think maybe one of those sheriffs ought to arrest Sheriff Mack for treason. That's what I believe. So I filed the case. I have 80 more to file, and then they'll get served once we get the funding for the Constitutional Accountability Committee. And we're not looking to raise that much money. Canadians could raise $5-6 million in a matter of weeks for truckers to end the mandate. Christopher Key can raise all kinds of money for billboards for a vaccine mandate and getting the governor arrested. He needs a sheriff. He needs a sheriff. Hey, Forrest Scully, glad you're here. All right. So, every one of these cases will be the same. The only thing that's going to change is right here. Who it's to. This one's to the sheriff, and this to the undersheriff. This one's for Leelanau County. Now, I've talked with Mike. Mike seems like a good guy. We were having phone connection issues. The call would drop. He called me back. This was several months ago. And the call dropped, and he called me back again. And then I don't know how many times, 2-3 times, maybe the fourth time it dropped, he didn't call back. And let's see. What we have here, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pages. And then we get into exhibits. Okay, so there's only 4 pages to read here. This isn't going to take long. So I'll show you this. All right, so here we go. Michigan State Executive Emergency Manager. That's me. Notice of state of emergency. Notice of Constitutional Accountability Committee. From Executive Emergency Manager, Constitutional Accountability Committee, Ethan D. Dean. It's got my address. It states who I am. I'm the claimant. One of the people, prosecutor, Executive Emergency Manager. And we're given notice of right in here, this section here, right here. Notice of state of emergency, notice of treason, notice of constitutional rights violations, notice of maladministration, notice of misadministration, notice of constitutional demand, notice of common law, notice of change in contract terms, notice of right to arbitration, notice of liability, notice of restoration demand, notice of retroactive financial penalty, notice of Constitutional Accountability Committee, notice of expansion of jurisdiction, notice of war power authorities, Notice of State Executive Emergency Manager. Notice of order. And then we got the respondents. Their names, not their departments. We're holding the men to account. And then it says notice of liability and demand. Notice to principal is notice to agent. Notice to agent is notice to principal. Notice to any and is notice to any and all. I've got to put the word is in there. So it should read notice to principal is notice to agent. Notice to agent is notice to principal. Is notice to any and all substitutes, replacements, or successors. So one of the reasons that I'm reading this is for a check. See, nobody will wants to engage in reviewing my document for spelling, for fact, for missing information or wrong information. Nobody, not one person. All these people and all these constitutional groups, not one of them is willing to do this. So it's fear, I'm sure. It's just pure fear. So this hasn't been served, and I can redo it. I can file another case, dismiss this one. I can file another case. So this is multiple reasons why I'm reading this. One is so you don't have to. Two is so that you know what's happening. And this is posted on the services page of my website for everybody to access, including the sheriffs. We're not hiding anything from the sheriffs. As far as I'm concerned, this is unrebutable. They can have a year, and they wouldn't be able to rebut it. We're not giving them a year. All right. Notice by affidavit. Comes now affiant, one of the people, as seen in the Michigan Declaration of Rights, Article 1, Section 1, Michigan Constitution. G. Juris in this court of record do make the following claims. Now, what did I just do there? Set my status, standing, and jurisdiction by entering court. Not clown court, lawful court. All right, page 1 is done. 4 more pages to go. Warning. Do not seek a British agent, bar member, attorney that carries or practices with a bar card, as they are members of a private membership, or any independent or any interpretation of the within, as they are not responsible for your oath you took concerning this information. Said oath is yours to own. Ignorance of the law or excuses that you were acting under advice of legal counsel will not be an acceptable excuse, for there is nothing to interpret. All right. Well, I see I got an error here because this says the above constitutional provision, Virginia 320, provision of free government, is being translated for you below in exhibit. This is all common law, common language, and is based constitutionally on the law of the land. See, I use this paragraph twice. And obviously, it does need an edit for the position that it's in where I just read it. I'll change the word to below, from above to below. All right. Then we drop in some article sections from the Constitution. Michigan, Article 1, Declaration of Rights. 1, political power. All political power is inherent in the people. Government is instituted for their equal benefit, security, and protection. History, Constitution, 1963. Article 1, January 1964. Now, this is testimony. Everything that comes after do make the following claims is testimony under penalty of perjury. All right. Now, you can't have a right in one state you don't have in another. So we drop in some other constitutional provisions. This is a good one. This is the one that I dropped in the Americans' Notice of Liability. Indiana, Article 1, Bill of Rights, Section 1. We declare that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, that all power is inherent in the people, and that all free governments are and of right ought to be founded on their authority and instituted for their peace, safety, and well-being. For the advancement of these ends, the people have at all times an indefeasible right to alter and reform their government. And then we got Maryland here. Article 6, that all persons invested with the legislative or executive powers of government are the trustees of the public, and as such accountable for their conduct. Wherefore, whenever the ends of government are perverted, and public liberty manifestly endangered, and all other means of redress are ineffectual, the people may, and of right, ought to reform the old or establish a new government. The doctrine of non-resistance against arbitrary power and oppression is absurd, slavish, and destructive to the good and happiness of mankind. Then we go on with testimony, more testimony. Gretchen Whitmer makes declaration of war on the free people in open court. In open court of record, Governor Gretchen Whitmer admits to warring with the people of Michigan and agrees to charge of treason. See Exhibit 1. In open court of record, Kalkaska County, Michigan Sheriff, Undersheriff, and Jail Sergeant admit to treason. Thusly are warring with the people of Michigan, and all three agree to charge of treason. See Exhibit 1. In open court of record, 3 Camp Grayling, Michigan garrison commanders admit to treason. Thusly are warring with the people of Michigan, and all 3 agree to charge of treason. See Exhibit 1. In open court of record, Berry County Sheriff and Undersheriff both admit to warring with the people of Michigan, and both agree to charge of treason. See Exhibit 1. In open court of record, Ethan D. Dean, established position of Executive Emergency Manager for Michigan State. See Exhibit 1. As Michigan servants from governor to garrison commanders admit to and agree to charge of treason and warring with the people, the executive manager, Ethan D. Dean, has war power authority, and duty to defend the Republic's security interest and the people of the great Michigan Republic state. All right, that's page 2. One little error so far, and it's not a death blow. Not by any means. Easy to correct. All right. Included with this service, you are served a notice of liability. Thusly said, notice of liability is in full force upon you, and your department is subject of liability with regard to all free people. See Exhibit 2. Please take further notice to the county sheriff, to information, and for immediate action. There has been a series of informations, orders, and writs by we, the people, filed in the United States Supreme Court of the United States District Courts, the state Supreme Courts, and served upon our elected and appointed servants. when not acted upon, forms an indictment against the same. We, the people, are exposing the fundamental errors of our judicial system. That said, servants and all recipients understand the subject. Oh, I skipped a line there. We, the people, are exposing the fundamental errors of our judicial system, errors founded on subversion and contempt of law by enemies past and present. It is expected that said servants and all recipients understand the subject matter. All servants and recipients have authority under the law and have taken an oath to preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution. Servants violate the sacred oath, and now lives have been destroyed and liberties trespassed in astonishing numbers. Silence when you have a duty to speak or act advocates conspiracy to overthrow the government of Michigan willfully and or knowingly. In Article 7, Section 6 of the Constitution states, this is the Michigan Constitution, the sheriff may be required by law to renew his security periodically, and in default of giving such security, his office shall be vacant. The county shall never be responsible for his acts except that the Board of Supervisors may protect him against claims by prisoners in his care. He shall not hold any other office except in civil defense. Michigan Constitution, 1963. What I just read was from the Constitution of 1963. And then I go on with more testimony. A Michigan sheriff cannot hold another position in government. As such, you are in violation of granted, restricted, just authority, operating an unlawful administrative process, unlawful administrative court service, and conspiring with bar members, judges, and administrative bylaw policy officers, i.e. state police, city police, township police, village police. See Exhibits 3 and 4. In Michigan, the state's duty of law enforcement for the protection of its citizens has been constitutionally delegated to the county in the person of sheriff, National Union of Police Officers and Board of Commissioners of Wayne County, 1979. See Exhibit 4. No man can have a right in one state that is not equally applicable in all Republic American states, as in Virginia 3-20, preservation of free government. Free government and the blessings of liberty can be preserved to any people only by a firm adherence to justice, moderation, temperance, frugality, and virtue, and by frequent reoccurrence to fundamental values. Now, for those of you who missed it, I did a video on that. I think it's an hour, just to do the translation of that paragraph by word definition, understanding the definition of the words when our forefathers used those words. Yes, indeed. Because the word arrest doesn't mean what you think or what you thought. Because maybe not, some of you have been educated and you know what to think. But what we thought arrest meant is not what it meant to our forefathers. It means to be stopped. So to be stopped requires a warrant from a grand jury. And there are none. Well, there's very few. All right. In Michigan, I just read that. And I read that. Please take further notice that the meaning of words have changed over time. And so I have translated the above provision so we can all appreciate the meaning of these words of our forefathers as they considered the defined meaning. I stumbled all over that. I'm going to read that again. Please take further notice that the meaning of words have changed over time. And so I have translated the above provision so we can all appreciate the meaning of these words of our forefathers as they considered the defined meaning. See, I use that paragraph twice, and I Got to change the word above to below on the first time it's used up there, right? Okay, no big deal. Please take further notice. Oh, I just read it. So, considered our forefathers as they considered and defined meaning. See Exhibit 8. The testimony goes on. Now we get into discovery. We're in court. What court? The People's Court. Way up here, way above the Supreme Court. Admit that all power is inherent in the people, and all free governments are founded on their authority and instituted for their peace, safety, and happiness. For the advancement of these ends, they have at all times an inalienable and indefeasible right to alter, reform, or abolish their government in such manner as they may think proper. You think the sheriff is going to deny that? He can't say neither admit or deny because we give him the evidence. So he's either going to admit in response or he's going to admit by acquiescence. And we'll see what that's all about here as we get a little further into this document. Admit that the sheriff is a public servant. Admit that the sheriff is a law enforcement officer. Admit the office of sheriff is an elected position. All right, that's the end of page 3. We're getting there. More than halfway done. By page count, I'm not sure about word count. Admit that the sheriff has a limited authority. Admit that the sheriff is limited to common constitutional law. Admit that the sheriff is restricted. Oh, first one says limited. Admit that the sheriff is limited to common constitutional law. Admit that the sheriff is restricted to common constitutional law. Admit that the sheriff nor sheriff department can engage in another position in government. See Exhibit 4. I stumbled. Admit that the sheriff nor sheriff department can engage in another position in government. See Exhibit 4. And you see, they all are. They're all spending the majority of their time in the administrative courts, in the administrative process, in administrative service, and trespassing upon you. Admit that per order, with the full force of executive order, the court of record notice of liability, Exhibit 2, is equally applicable to for all free men, male and female. That's referring to that Americans Notice of Liability. All right. Where do we go from? Where did I leave off here? I got to find my spot. Admit that your sheriff department is holding administrative office in direct conflict with the department's constitutional obligations and duties to the law of the land. You think they can refute that? No way. All right. Admit your sheriff department is holding administrative office unconstitutionally, trespassing on free people's liberties that you are obligated to protect and defend the public with your life if necessary. See Exhibit 4. Admit that an unconstitutional act is not law. It confers no right. It imposes no duties, affords no protection. It carries no office. It is in legal contemplation and inappropriate as thought it had never been passed, as inoperative as though it had never been passed. See Exhibits 5 and 7. Admit that per constitutional provisions, government is to be open. Admit that per constitutional provision, government is to be accessible. Admit that per constitutional provision, government is to be responsive. Admit that per constitutional provision, government is to be accountable. Sheriffs, governors, legislators. See anything they can rebuke yet? Admit that in open court of record, Governor Gretchen Whitmer is a self-admitted war criminal. See Exhibit 1. Admit that Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer is a war criminal. See Exhibit 1. Admit that providing aid or comfort to a treasonous war criminal is an act of treason. Legislators, Dar Rendon. Yeah, Dar Rendon's asking about me. I made 2 videos. What do I get from Dar Rendon? Crickets. No treason and say nothing is treason. To hide treason is treason. Now we get to the executive order. One, close all administrative courts in your county today, this day of service. 2, grand jury is to be established in your county by and for the people. And then we have A, B, C, D, E underneath number 2. So number 2A, note, the legislative has no authority over common law grand jury. B, assembly join-up paperwork is to be accessible to the people in your department lobby. C, grand jury pool join-up paperwork is to be accessible to the people in your department lobby. D, Gretchen Whitmer court of records are to be displayed in your lobby in plain view. E, wanted posters are to be displayed in your lobby in plain view. Now, we don't only need to raise money for the Constitutional Accountability Committee, but we're going to have to raise money for bounty hunters. That's fact. 3, sheriff duty, obligation, just authority, and jurisdiction is now expanded statewide to include both Upper and Lower Peninsula until further notice and or order. The sheriff jurisdiction is expanded and covers all of Michigan. Now, these sheriffs got no excuse not to arrest the governor because they're not in their county. 4, fully cooperate with the Constitutional Accountability Committee. 5, fully cooperate with the People's Bureau of Investigation. 6, report for duty by text messaging. I got my phone number in there with name and county. I don't get a text message from them. We know they're treason. It's that simple. All right, now, very important page. Very important page. They're all important. This is an affidavit and contract and change of terms. This is an affidavit and contract and change of terms. Any man or woman who denies these claims are true must rebut them under penalty of perjury in the form of sworn affidavit. Any man or woman who decides to suppress this affidavit agrees to pay $30,000, and any disputes by any public officials or private actors who are bound by contract to the Michigan Constitution and or the United States Constitution within the United States or United States of America agrees to have these matters heard before an arbitrator of my choice and to be bound thereby. Any man or woman denying these claims are true must refute these claims point by point within 3 days or 72 hours. Failure to respond means that by acquiescence you agree that all claims are true. Failing to respond with constitutionally granted authority, which gave you the power to disregard the rights of the people mentioned within this affidavit and contract, means that you agree to have this affidavit used as evidence of constitutional rights violations, maladministration, treason, and as a constitutional common law retroactive financial penalty of $10,000 per day from the date you took the position as sheriff will be in full force upon you personally and additionally and equally on your sheriff department, the county, and state of Michigan. You further agree that once the 3-day time period has expired, this affidavit becomes truth and law, and that all matters must be considered adjudged, and that no court has jurisdiction to rehear these matters, and that the witness and all additional witnesses against you shall be considered sufficient for conviction. Now, I give them a remedy. Give them a remedy, so they don't have to face charges of treason. Remedy shall be recognition of the authority serving on you and response to the within order when you report for duty as ordered. Without remedy, all issues of notice matters remain open, and to all matters I retain all rights of and with executive manager war power authority and all rights to remedy and waive none. And then we do the verification with the notary jurat. So there you go. I think that's a pretty solid document. All right. Now, what else goes with this? A lot. So on the services page of the website, there's 2 PDF files. Exhibit 1 will be Berry County and Camp Grayling, Gretchen. That file was so big, it had to be 2 files. Exhibit 2 will be the Americans Notice of Liability. That is also available for you, not only just to review, but to download and use. Exhibit 3. This is a notice to public servants and bar associates. And this is basically saying that the bar is enemy of the people. All of this that I'm holding in my hand is on the services page of the website for you to review. Exhibit 4 is the history and duties of the Michigan Sheriff. Now, I did a 4-part video series on this, Your Michigan Sheriff Explained. There's a link to this in the description of this video. It's the very bottom link. Exhibit number 5. I'm going to read this one. This one's on the services page. It's there titled Recovery Doc. And this is quite a piece of paper. It is. And this was sent to me by eBay 78. You might have heard me talk about eBay 78 in prior videos. We did our best to keep her out of court. I believe we did. All right, Exhibit 5, about writs and voids. It's a very simple document. It's called, I believe it's called Recovery Doc on the services page. Excuse me. And I have verified all of these court cases in quotes. An unconstitutional act is not law. It confers no rights. It imposes no duties, affords no protection. It creates no office. It is in legal contemplation, as inappropriate as though it had never been passed. Norton versus Shelby County, 118 U.S. 425. A writ may be void because it is defective in language, because the court had no jurisdiction to issue the writ, which is the case in all these administrative courts when they're trespassing on the free man. Let's see. And that's Big Torts 122, Nixon versus Reeves, 65 MINN. That's probably Minnesota. A bunch of numbers. See Bouvier's Law, Encyclopedia, Rules, 3rd edition, revision, page 1182. This goes on. The clerk to the court who issues a defective writ or one not authorized by the court is liable, and so is a judge who orders a writ which he had no right to issue or where he had no jurisdiction. Big Torts 128. See Bouvier's Law, Encyclopedia, Rules, 3rd edition, revision page 1182. Whereas the court is to protect against any encroachment of constitutionally secured liberties. Boyd versus U.S. 116, U.S. 616. Where rights secured by the Constitution are involved, there can be no rulemaking or legislation which would abrogate them. Miranda versus Arizona, 384, U.S. 436. Whereas a self-executing constitutional provision as defined as immediately effective without necessity of ancillary legislation. Cleary versus Kincaid, 23, Idaho. Bunch of numbers. Strange versus City of Cleveland, 94, Ohio Street. Bunch of numbers. Full faith and credit via Article 4, Section 1. Now, this paragraph would be for you. This paragraph would be for you to facilitate. So if you've been trespassed upon a court, you're being trespassed upon by a court, it's a very powerful document for you to own. And it's there, cheap as free, on the services page of the website. It's called Recovery Doc. Therefore, with respect to the facts and laws herein, and self-executing provision mentioned and directed to the court herein, is obligatory upon the officers of the whatever court, township, or county or municipality court. That's where you put in your information. The court that trespassed upon you. The township or county or municipality court that trespassed upon you. That's for you to use this document. You would backspace that out and put your information in there. All right? So the font is changed for that. In the document, the font is not the same as the rest of the paragraph, just to help point that out for you. All right. Of the whatever court, township or county or municipality court, to terminate this matter, oh my goodness. Got to fix the pipes. Hang on. If it's repugnant, it must be abrogated. All right, here we go. Therefore, with respect to the facts and laws herein, and self-executing provisions mentioned and directed to the court herein, it is obligatory upon the officers of the whatever court, township or county or municipality court, to terminate this matter and return any finances that were submitted under threat, duress, or coercion, as was stated by me as a matter of record on such and such a date, and any officers and parties involved to be sanctioned for their violations against the law and the rights of the people, of which they have an oath-bound and fiduciary duty to uphold, protect, and preserve. All right, exhibit number 6. That was exhibit number 5. Exhibit number 6, Nuremberg Code. Exhibit number 7. Maxims of law. I did a video on this. This is page 20 through 25 in the document. Exhibit number 8. This is where I break down the constitutional provision from Virginia 320, provision of free government. I did a video on this, as I stated earlier. I believe that took about an hour to get through this. So that's it. Unrebutable. So these sheriffs are going to either be a constitutional sheriff or they're going to be a treasonous rat. This is going to be served on them by the Constitutional Accountability Committee, along with the People's Bureau of Investigation. Every visit will be recorded, audio, video. I'm also going to write a letter to these sheriffs. I haven't even started that, but in my mind, I know they need to get a letter. I was thinking about a preamble. Maybe I'll put that at the end of the letter. So anyways, we're looking at printing a lot of paper here. A lot of paper. 81 times the notary jury's got to put their signature to my verification so that these cases are then facilitated in a court of record. Open court of record. And then we're going to have men traveling the state. We got to pay for their time, unless they're volunteering. We'll plan to pay for their time. We got to pay for their fuel. Got to give them a per diem per day for their food and their lodging. And then they got a job to do when they get there. They got to make a presentation, whether the sheriff comes out or not, whether the undersheriff comes out or not. They got a presentation to make. They're going to do it in the lobby of the sheriff's department, under the sheriff's department audio video, where we can do a FOIA request. It'll be dual recorded. It'll be recorded by the upfront man who does the speak. It will be recorded from a little further distance by the partnering Constitutional Accountability Committee member visiting that department. I'll also be issuing executive orders to every municipality to send out mailings to every resident about the formation of assemblies and grand juries in their jurisdiction. And wanted posters can go anywhere. They can be put up in the grocery store. They can be put up on poles. They can be put up on walls. We're going to visit Berry County Sheriff's Department. Everything is going to get delivered there. As far as the grand jury, the assembly, wanted posters. And in Berry County, we're going to put a wanted poster, dead or alive, Sheriff Darleaf, Under Sheriff Jason Sixberry. We're also going to give notice to all the employees that their sheriff and undersheriff in open court of record agreed to charge of treason for warring with the people. And we're going to post their court cases in their lobbies. And we're going to tell all these employees that keep coming in for a paycheck that giving aid and comfort to a treasonous rat is treason. And anybody involved is subject to the consequences. You are hereby noticed and advised to vacate before the end of the day. And put the fear of God in these people. This is going to be done in every sheriff's department. The Constitutional Accountability Committee and People's Bureau of Investigation is going to be a confrontation, a presentation in every sheriff's department in a matter of days. Let's see them swat that away. We got the whole world watching. So people, it's time to step up and start making some donations. We saw the first one, $10. We're on our way. I got 2 pledges. Pledges are good. That money will be coming. We're looking to raise $50,000 to fix everything. Canadians put $5 to $6 million together in a matter of weeks to deal with a mandate. One issue. We get law enforcement, we deal with all issues. Now, anybody can do what I've done. Every governor is warring with the people. Every one of them. And you can put them in court. And you can give them a remedy. A nice, easy remedy. Gretchen Whitmer's remedy, I believe it was just to make an executive order that cannabis is essential for human health. It could have been, I could have wrote that would partially satisfy as remedy. Can't remember exactly what I put in there, but I gave her a very easy out. Gretchen Whitmer is an experienced prosecuting attorney in clown courts where they trespass upon you. Gretchen Whitmer is a former, and maybe still, I'm not sure, associate member to a law firm. Gretchen Whitmer is a Democrat with a bar card, a British foreign agent in position as Democrat in a republic state. Does anybody see a problem with this? The enemy got elected governor. How in the world does that happen? Well, when the enemy has been here since the late 1800s and has overtaken our education system to dumb us down, overtaken our judicial system to trespass upon us, overtaken our legislative bodies in order to control us, so they think. No. That's clown world. That's the Wizard of Oz. That's black magic, Black's law, spelling, evil, treasonous rats. We're going to abrogate the bar in Michigan. We're going to shut down these administrative courts. We're going to open superior courts in every county. We are going to have constitutional law enforcement in our sheriffs. Now, anyone can run for sheriff. And we got elections coming up. We should be raising money for awareness, putting up billboards, sharing these videos, and taking action. You can run for sheriff in your county. You don't need to have any experience in law enforcement or police training or any of that. All that responsibility falls on the undersheriff. Now, Sheriff Mack, I understand he's got about 400 sheriffs in his constitutional posse. Sheriff Mack is there for a reason. He's there to hold them all back. He's there to tell them that he doesn't believe in assemblies and they should be dealing with the attorney general. Give me a break. Sheriff Mack, in my opinion, you are a treasonous rat. I welcome you to come on here and defend yourself. And I welcome every American to question Sheriff Mack, especially you sheriffs. For a man to not know his everyday job is a deceit. You hear that, Sheriff? Now, I know that some of you are pissing your pants and crapping your pants. You're spineless. You got no cojones. You should know you do the right thing and we got your back. You don't have to crap your pants and piss your pants. We'll hold you up. We'll have your back. You're going to have unlimited authority in deputizing. You need 500 deputies, you'll have them. You need 1,000 deputies, you'll have them. You need 10,000 deputies, you'll have them. If you got our back, we got your back. If you don't have our back, we're coming for you. Because treason is treason. And by God, we're going to correct this. So people, you got $1 to send it. You got $5 to send it. You got an inclination to run for sheriff, run for sheriff. You got an inclination to facilitate your notice of liability, get it done. And go serve it on your sheriff. Make a recording and send it over here. We gotta spread the word. We gotta educate the people. It's not just educating the sheriffs, it's educating the people. If you knew what an American was, none of this would be necessary. Not one piece of paper, not one video. You would know it in your head and you would just own it. This is serious. This is life and death. This is your life that they're trespassing on. We got free men in prison for marijuana, which is one of the most healing plants on this earth. Science gave up on gum tissue rejuvenation. Put it in writing in the United States National Library of Medicine. If you got lost gum tissue, it's gone forever. It's never coming back. Then comes along Ethan Dean with visual, measurable, repeatable evidence. And the government ignores it. The Governor Snyder ignores it. Governor Whitmer ignores it. The National Institute of Health ignores it. And they decide to put me in jail and fund $1.8 billion to find another way to rejuvenate gum tissue. And when they fail, all of a sudden the examiner for my case with the United States Patent and Trademark Office attacks my case. Years later, and tens of thousands of dollars, and the patent office denies my patent. And I knew it was wrong. And I fought it, and I won my patent. And then I took the United States Patent and Trademark Office to task in court. And I beat them. I beat the DEA in court. I beat Gretchen Whitmer. I've won every case. and I'll win all 81 of these cases, Michigan sheriffs. You want your freedom, you want liberty, you want happiness, you want clean water, clean air, good food, nutrient-rich soil, privacy, security, free time to spend with your loved ones and your friends, to pursue your hobbies and your passions, to be productive, to be helpful, or just to take a break. Well, by God, stand up and be an American. Quit your whining and your complaining. Giving $50 to Mookie with your family tree, your birth certificate, and a bunch of other personal information to get a national ID is a waste of your time and money. It does nothing to get your servants under control. Zero. Nothing. Chasing after your QSIP number, getting in that administrative process so you can access your account. You got energy to do that? Get after your sheriff, for God's sakes. Surety bonds. That's not going to get your government under control. You got to have law enforcement. Assemblies. You're forming assemblies for what? You got no law enforcement. You get law enforcement and the assemblies follow. It's natural. The sheriff is one man in a county. One man. So by God, own your authority. Go to the services page of oralhealthwithcannabis.com. The link is always in the description. Go to the services page, download that one page notice of liability. I'm going to take the 2-pager down. It's done. I'm not going to talk about it anymore. I'm going to take it down. And tonight, I'm going to pull down the 1-pager and I'm going to edit it for the month because it says January. That's one less thing you need to worry about editing, because you got to put your name where it says your name here. You got to put your state, your county, and your city, village, or whatever is appropriate. And then you got to get your John Henry on there in front of a notary jurat. Any notary public can be a notary jurat. The language on the document specifies it's a notary jurat. All right, I haven't looked at the comments. So if I missed a question, repost it. I'm going to take a look here and maybe scroll up. Let's see. The sheriff was served by a process server, an affidavit of information for him to issue a search warrant to go get my property back. He stole a Dubbies. Don't know what that means. We got to have law enforcement. We got to educate these sheriffs. They're all working with the enemy. Every county prosecutor is bar card holder. A private foreign entity trespassing upon you. I ordered the Kalkaska County prosecutor to be arrested. Kalkaska County sheriff didn't arrest him. Kalkaska County prosecutor up and quit in the middle of his 3rd term. I served that June 28, 2021. By July 31st, the Kalkaska County prosecutor was done. By the 2nd week of July, the FBI was caught up in a kidnapping plot, entrapping Michiganders, because Gretchen Whitmer got caught with her pants down. She got caught flat-footed in a court of record. Probably the first time in her life that experienced prosecutor, associate attorney was ever in a court of record. Could very well be. And we got treason rampant everywhere because the enemy is everywhere. There's a bar attorney involved in virtually every institution, organization, department, agency, whatever entity, there's a bar attorney involved, the enemy. And every time you got a problem, you're advised, oh, go talk to the enemy for help. How stupid are we? When are we going to stop this? I'm not reading the comments. Lord have mercy. So it's a people's post that we need to gain our people's rights to arrest again. Look, it's our government. We have all power. We have all authority. Our servants swear an oath. They have responsibility and duty, as do we, to hold our servants accountable. We're at war. The governors are warring with us. Gretchen Whitmer admits it in an open court of record. 3 garrison commanders admit to treason. 2 sheriffs, 2 undersheriffs, and a jail sergeant admit to treason in open court of record. Why is this open court of record? Why? A lot of reasons. A lot of reasons. Notice to principal is notice to agent. Notice to agent is notice to principal. That means tell everybody. You ain't hiding this. Any man or woman who decides to suppress this affidavit agrees to pay $30,000. That's all language in here. We are in the highest court, the people's court. Not clown court, not clown world. Not down here in the Supreme Court, in judicial land, part of the 3 branches of government. No, way up here. The people own it. You got the people, then you got your assemblyman. Not every assemblyman needs to be, not every people needs to be an assemblyman. You got your assemblyman. Not every assemblyman needs to be a grand juror. Doesn't need to be in the jury pool. And then below that, you got your sheriff. And then below that, you got your 3 branches of government with your Supreme Court. Your Supreme Court. A low-level court. The Superior Court is up here, the People's Court, where you have all your power. So it's time to make a donation if you want your freedom and you want your liberty. I picked up the banner. I figured this out. And I'm taking it all the way for you. And this is an example for every other state to follow. We got elections coming up for sheriff this fall. It's time to run for sheriff. It's time to educate your sheriff. It's time to educate all Americans. Imagine 83 interactions, all recorded, double recorded, and then a week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks later, the constitutional accountability back again, recording everything. Are the administrative courts shut down and superior courts open? Are these road pirates still operating as road pirates? The sheriff is to order all bylaw officers to stand down, understand their jurisdiction. For a man not to know his everyday job is a deceit. And our highest law enforcement doesn't know his job. These policy officers, they don't know their job. And they are killing us. So I let some passion out. It needs to be let out. You need to wake up. You need to take action, or just shut up and quit complaining. That's it. If all you want to do is send some money, send some money. If all you want to do is be sheriff, run for sheriff. If all you want to do is educate your sheriff, educate your sheriff. If all you want to do is educate the people, then educate the people. But by God, do something. You want to chase surety bonds? Fine. How about putting some energy into your sheriff? You want to give Mookie $50 and all your personal information for a national ID that's not going to do nothing for you? Why not do something about your sheriff? Come on, people, wake up. By God, this is your life. It's your mother's life, your father's life, your grandma and grandpa, your children, your grandchildren, your aunts, your uncles, your cousins, your friends. It's the whole world. All right, so I'm glad I did this. Just helped me find just a couple of little tweaks I got to make to this document. It's educated you on just how powerful this document is, and that by going through this process, you can be sure I'm going to have it bulletproofed. And those little mistakes in there, that don't hurt nothing. In clown world, oh, they'd come up with all kinds of things because they operate on assumptions and presumptions. We're in a lawful court where truth and law is what matters. What did you mean here, Mr. Dean? You see, that's how that goes. Not, oh, you didn't dot your I and cross the T. We're kicking this case out of court. Oh, no. That does not happen in common law courts. Not even close. That happens in clown world. All right, let's see what we got. We got anything to answer here? All right. All right, everybody. I don't think I got anything to answer here right now in the comments. So look, people, you got to do what's right. And then life will get good. And life will stay good. We're surrounded by enemies. British agents trespassing upon you have overtaken our judicial and our legislative branches of government. And you've been brainwashed to run to them for help every time they trespass upon you. How stupid are we? How stupid were we? How dumbed down were we? How MK Ultra? They started this in the late 1800s. My YouTube video, Own Your Authority, Part 6, I discussed this. There's a link in there to an 8th grade test from Salina, Kansas in the late 1800s. I bet you can't pass it. Just look what these parasites have done. All right, people. I'm going to be back soon. I got more to say, and we got to keep going. Do a fundraiser. Have some people over, buy pizza and something, some beverage or whatever, some ice cream, and play this video. And see if you can't get 20 people to donate $5 each. I know somebody out there can just pay the whole $50,000. We're talking about $300 per county. Now, I don't know what it's going to cost exactly, but by the time we get the first one done, we're going to know what the second one is. But this should just be the start of fundraising. We should have billboards going up. We got to share this information if you want to be free with liberty. Just cause no harm. The law is harsh. However, That's the law. So, by God, we're going to set you free. You reap what you sow. You sow nothing, you're liable to get nothing. Sow a couple of bucks this way. Sow yourself Americans notice of liability. Serve it on your sheriff. Give your sheriff an education. Set your status, your standing, and your jurisdiction. You know, before I came on, I got a notice of a YouTube live, Paul Unslaved. And I clicked on, I started listening, and he starts talking about how he has to correct his status. And I'm just shaking my head. I'm thinking, my God, man, don't be teaching that to the people. There's nothing to correct. Fraud is fraud. Fraud eviscerates everything. You just simply own your authority if you're an American. Your forefathers cemented God's law in compact. And your servants are in a trust indenture, and they take an oath to uphold God's laws that are in our Constitution. All right. Peace. Much love. Take care of yourself. Own your authority. Be an American. Raise some money and get it over here. Go serve your sheriff. Start a campaign. Run for sheriff.